What's up, everybody? This is Whiskey in the Six. I'm Rob. Today I have for you a sample of the Glenmorangie 18-year-old extremely rare. That's the sample right there. Alright. The sample and the actual bottle, which I will keep for a while until I decide what I'm going to do with it. Still investigating whether or not this is going to increase in value within the next little while. Glenmorangie is one of the more collectible Highland Scotches, but this particular one is made with regularity, I believe, every year. So when you're collecting, you tend to want to look for the ones that are going to be limited, but there is going to be a video on collection, and that'll be a little bit later on. Quick story, I've had a full bottle of this before. It's done. I bought it about 2 years ago, and about a year and a half ago my friends and I opened it on my 30th birthday. The first few drams I remember, embarrassingly enough, the bottle was completed that night, so much of that night is a little bit hazy, but it was a good night. It was my 30th birthday, so that was my excuse. That's not the best way to open up a good bottle of whiskey. I do remember it being really good and that sort of thing, but I didn't really get to savor it over a long period of time. And there was a lot of people here, so it was spread out pretty thin. I bought it in Detroit for about 90 American. In Ontario, it costs at the moment $198, so basically $200 Canadian. So if prices haven't changed in the United States too much, I'm assuming this is in and around $100 to $130 dollars American. But it could be cheaper depending on where you buy it. I know that New York City tends to have more expensive prices than, let's say, Florida, okay, or cities in Florida, or as someone mentioned earlier on one of the comments on my last review, he said that in Seattle prices are almost as bad as they are in Canada, in Ontario. But I believe it was, I'm not going to say where because I forget where exactly he said, but he goes to visit family elsewhere, and I guess it's not too far a drive, and he tends to find whiskey way cheaper. Okay, so it's probably out of state, in the neighboring states. Okay, so that's how drastic it can change from state to state, the price of Scotch. But the same kind of thing actually happens in Canada as well. In Ontario, prices tend to be the highest. It seems like Alberta has really good prices for Scotch in general. Okay. Anyway, to the Glenmorangie 18-year-old. This is a Highland Scotch. If you go on the website, you can read up about the history of Glenmorangie and where they get, they swear by their water source because rainwater filters through a whole bunch of limestone, and it produces this very hard type water that's high quality, mineral heavy water to be used and distilled for whiskey. Okay, so they swear by that. Glenmorangie also swears by their citrusy notes in almost all their whiskeys. You can pick it up. Okay, this one in particular is bottled at 43%. It's one of the few from the Glenmorangie that is bottled at 43%. Most of them are 46%. The Quinta Ruben, all the special releases tend to be 46%. The Signet that I did recently, not too long ago actually, that was 46%. This one's 43%. It's not non-chill filtered, so it's chill filtered likely. whether or not it's added color doesn't say. It didn't say it anywhere on the site, but this is one of their regular releases, so it's very possible that they chill filter it and they add color. And if they didn't, it would say it on their bottle like the other ones do. So there's that. The 18-year-old is aged for 15 years in American oak casks. Then 30% or roughly 30% of that whiskey is taken out of the American oak casks and put into Spanish Oloroso Sherry Casks, and all the whiskey combined ages for another 3 years. So the 30% that's in the Oloroso Sherry, the rest of the whiskey that was still remaining in the American oak, and then they reblend it back together once all the whiskey's 18 years old, and they release the bottle. Okay, so I'm not sure if the whiskey in the American oak is kind of like a Solera type filling. They keep filling it up after every use, or top it up anyway. That I'm not sure. Okay, but it says American oak. It doesn't go into specifics about what kind of American oak. It could be American oak sherry, which I don't think it is, and it could be bourbon, which I'm not sure if it is, and it could be virgin oak. That's also very possible. But the details of that are kind of hazy. I looked up a few different sites and they didn't really go into detail. They just say American oak. So that's what I have for you. I said it's a Highland, 43%, and we don't know the details about whether or not it's chill filtered or not, and we can assume that it's not. Malt Masters, if you're able to buy from maltmasters.com in the UK, I highly recommend it. It tends to have a vast selection of whiskey, and for a reasonable price. Okay, there's very few whiskeys on that site that I can match up price in Ontario, and they are pretty competitive with American prices as well. I find certain states have better prices than others, but it varies, because it varies based on what's popular in that particular state. Some types of scotch are cheaper, and then other types of scotch are more expensive. So that's the trouble you run into when it's not a large corporation controlling what the prices of scotch and whiskey are. But to the flip side, in Ontario, we get hosed basically across the board. There's very rarely a good deal when it comes to scotch, especially when it comes to scotch, actually. Anyway, on the nose. Okay, right away you do pick up that Oloroso Sherry. It's only 30% of this that's been aged in Oloroso Sherry, and it's only been for 3 of the 18 years, but you pick it up right away. That's because Oloroso Sherry is so distinct, okay, very fruity, and that's what this is, very fruity. Okay, the signature orange smell you're picking up right away, citrusy, it's floral, okay. I'm not sure what kind of flowers I'm smelling, but it does smell like a bouquet of flowers of some sort. But I would say it leans more to the fruity side than the floral side. Very nice nose on this. Okay, you get a lot of honey. You don't get a ton of chocolate, which sherry whiskeys tend to have, but you do get a lot of honey. Okay, on the palate. There's a very subtle peaty note in there. It's floral. It's a touch oaky. The finish is not very long. It's super light, very, very light stuff, but surprisingly for an 18-year-old whiskey, it does have a bit of an alcohol bite. And considering it's only 43%, that does surprise me. Yeah, that's interesting. Perhaps this needs a touch more time to open up, so I'll give it a couple more seconds. While I give it a couple more seconds, I'm going to go back to it. I want to thank my subscribers. All right, every day it's building. I'm getting more subscribers. I'm getting more people commenting on the videos, so I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Please, if you're subscribing and you like my videos and you want other people to have a look, please share it. That helps me get my name out there. I have Instagram and Twitter. It's at Whisky in the Six on Twitter and at Whisky_in_the_6 on on Twitter. It's at Whisky_in_the_6, and on Instagram it's at Whisky in the Six. On Facebook, you can find me at either Rob Reviews or just type in Whisky in the Six in the search bar and you'll probably find or come across one of my videos. Right? This was sitting in the glass for, I would say, about just over 10 minutes before the video started. We're probably nearing the 7-8 minute mark now, so this is probably where it should be as far as sitting in the glass goes. But even if we're a couple minutes shy, it shouldn't change it drastically. As long as you get a solid 10 minutes of airing the glass out, that definitely helps. Okay, so again on the nose. Okay, again, like I said, you pick up that raisiny note from the Oloroso Sherry. It's like a dried, a couple different types of dried fruit. Raisin, maybe apricot. You get that orange, all right? Even like an orange juice type smell. And I'm picking up less floral notes now that it's opened up a little bit longer. It's not overly strong, the nose. It's not overwhelming. You don't get a ton of scent to it. You gotta really focus on this one. I believe there's a touch of vanilla there as well. Let me just give that another shot. Someone recently asked me if I could go through how I find the different tastes and smells in a particular whiskey. They went on to say they like their whiskey based on, like, they taste it, they like it, that determines how they feel about it, but they don't really know how to pick apart all the different tastes and smells. What I find is effective is just holding it on my tongue for a little longer, really putting my nose in the glass. Okay, once you've let the alcohol smell kind of overwhelm your nose at first, then you start to pick up the smells more so as you do it. Okay, so the first scent often is a little bit pungent, a little bit burning, but as it goes on, you'll be able to start to pinpoint different smells. In my opinion, that's basically my strategy. They asked if I could do a full video on that. I'm gonna do more research and see if I can find more professional examples to give you guys, and then combine that with my own knowledge and my own personal experience and see if I can come up with something. But for now, I would advise that you hold it on your tongue a little bit longer and really put your nose in the glass and slowly try to pick out the different types of smells that you're picking up. Okay, one more nose. Okay, the Oloroso comes out so much more now. I'm not sure if it's because it's near the end of the aging process or just because it's so much stronger than the scents that you would pick up from the American oak casks, but you definitely pick it up. All right, it's not as strong a sherry smell as, let's say, the Macallan 18-year-old, but it's up there. All right. Okay, one more time on the palate. So that peaty note is virtually gone. I actually don't pick it up at all anymore. Get the fruitiness, orange, raisin, a touch of like caramelized fruit, like sugar, caramelized over fruit. That's what I'm picking up. Okay, one more. And like a sweet honey, much less alcohol burn now. And it was only a couple minutes, but maybe just a couple swirls of the glass helps to let it breathe a little bit more. Not too hard. You don't want to shake it up, but just a couple swirls. All right. As it's evolving, it's tasting a lot better. Okay. And that's the key, guys. Don't rush your whiskey. Don't rush how you feel about it. Give it a chance. Give it an hour if you can. Slowly break it down over like the one glass, or have 2 glasses within an hour, and then that should help you get a better understanding of what the whiskey is all about. I'm gonna give this one more taste. Let me just give this the most fair possible mark I can. So much more soft now. Sometimes you gotta watch. You might have to take a few sips to like coat your palate because of maybe something you ate or drank before tasting a whiskey, because it's so much better now than it was when I was first taking my first few sips. And the finish is actually lasting a lot longer now too. Okay, I'm gonna give that an A-. It's B+, A- territory. Okay. So I'm gonna stick with my guns and say A-. All right, that's good stuff. Again, if you like the video, please subscribe below, like, please, and more importantly, if you have any questions, anything you think I can help you with, I'll be happy to do it. All right, comment below. You can even email me at whiskyinthe6@gmail.com. It's up to you guys. I don't mind the comments. I try to reply to as many as possible and as soon as I can. Sometimes time gets away from me or I'm at an event and I can't reply, but rest assured I will get back to you if you have a question. All right. Thank you very much for watching again. Cheers.